So it seems as a few people are having issues with the limits as far as being able to build a large number of posts. And there's a couple different things you can do. If you have a BPS or a dedicated host, you can actually modify your PHP configuration so that it doesn't time out. Now, if you don't have the option, the other thing you can do is just build a certain number of posts at a time. And I'll show both options in this video. So the first thing is, if you do have BPS or a dedicated server, you have full access to change settings on your server. So I'm just logged into the WHM here. You would just type in PHP here, look for the PHP configuration editor. You're going to look for the memory limit. Just make sure what figure is there. You can actually increase this to about 3,000, about 3 gigabytes or so, slightly under 3 gigabytes. Execution time, I've already got mine raised. On this one, this is normally I think like 60 seconds or so. So you can up this to about 3,600. And max input time, same thing, about 3,600. And make sure you hit save. And it's going to tell you the PHP and INI has been written, so that you raise your maxed variables in there. Now the other thing you need to do is WordPress has its own built-in set of max limits. So we've got to add a little line to the WP config in your installation. You could do this through an FTP program, FileZilla, or anything like that. Or we can just go into the file manager in here. And what you're going to look for is you're going to go to the WP config, hit edit, and you're going to go to the line that says this WP debug false. That's the last one, right before that's all, stop editing, and you're going to add 2 extra lines, and they're the WP memory limit and WP max memory limit, and you want to set this to whatever you've raised your limits to. So I did it 3,000. So basically, with WordPress, they have their own limitations, but we're telling it here to go all the way up to 3,000 megabytes in memory, and then the max memory also 3,000 megabytes. So doing those two takes care of any limitations that WordPress itself might have. Hit save changes, and that's how you handle it on that end. Now, if you do not have those limitations, or if you do not have the option to raise those limits, then the other option will be to just build a staggered build. What I mean by that is, let me log in to my WordPress area here, take one of my Shaker pages that I've got as a demo. Let's let me edit these short codes. I've got city, and I'm gonna go ahead and just take this city. Let me go to my spreadsheet here, and let's say I want to do, just for the sake of this example, 100 at a time, but just play around with this. You could probably get up to about 500 on shared hosting and be okay. Just depends on the level of spinning you're doing. So I just loaded up 100 cities here. For state, let me just load up all this 100 as well. State short, I can really just do AL since I'm just sticking to one state, but if I were to mix up states, then I would just go and make sure that I copy the same exact amount to make sure that they were matching 1 to 1. So now that I got those, I will go to the Shaker page. I'll take this, let me just save the draft so that I can use it as if I'm starting from scratch. So let's say I'm starting my build. I've got everything set up here. Everything's good to go. We got the categories, we got the tags that I need. This was just one that I previously had set up. I'm not going to put any number here. I'm just going to tell it to build pages and post. So what this is going to do is going to go out and build those 100 that I put in. And let me pause the video while it does that, and then I'll show you how to add the next 100. So now it's finished with those 100. I'm just going to open up shortcodes again in another tab. Let me go back to city, go back to my spreadsheet. I left off at 100, so I can just start up at 101, go to 200, copy those, paste them in there, save that, state, do the same exact thing. I'm going to start up here, go down to where the next 100 are, paste that in there, stay short. I'm still in Alabama, but let's just say, for example, I was between Alabama and the next state, Alaska. So I wanted to make sure that I got it exactly right and there was no confusion. Then I would just copy all the 100, paste them in there, save that. So now that I got my shortcodes are correct, I can go back to my shaker page. It says that pages posts have been built. The button's delete, but if I go down and I hit save draft again without making any changes, this goes back to build. So then I can just hit build again, and it's going to go through the next list of 100 that I loaded up in there. Let me pause while I do that. And I just finished building those next 100. So basically I would just continue doing that. And like I said, you could probably get away with a lot more than 100. It's just for the sake of making a quick video, I wanted to do 100, but you could probably load up about 500. Sometimes I've heard of 1,000 or so. Just it really depends on the host that you're on, and also the amount of spinning you've got going on, if you got like a deeply spun paragraph, or if the whole article itself is spun. And even if you have a BPS, it might still time out if you have like a deeply spun post itself. But this is something that we really want to get taken care of. So just bear with us. I want you to do some test builds to get, start building some sites, doing it this way. And but we are working on an update to where you can literally load up a list of 15,000 cities, hit build once, and never have to worry about it timing out. And that should be out within a week or two. But that's our main goal, is to get that update out, because it obviously will benefit us too. I don't run into this specific issue because I do my builds on my local installation of WordPress right on my computer, and I can max out the limits. So if you know how to do that, that's one way to get around that. But otherwise, you can just follow these two different ways that I showed you, and you'd be able to greatly speed up the process of building these sites.